December was packed with games. Some of them you saw on the channels, others I tried off camera, and a few I'm still mulling over. I'm Vadd, and in this video I'll share what I played, what stood out, and even some thoughts I didn't mention when those videos first went up. The biggest surprise for me this month was absolutely Grand Theft Auto 5. I was not expecting to slip into the world and spend some time in the snow and the fun that came with that. That was a huge surprise for me, absolute treat to dive back in. It's got a lot of problems that are not obvious when you first pick it up and play it, but it's kind of a hard thing to sometimes get into. And then once you're kind of into it, it's kind of a hard thing to keep going because you kind of have everything. But I think I found just the perfect little sweet middle spot. I like what I'm doing. I have new things I can still do, and I have old things I don't want to do again. And it's fun. It's been a lot of fun. This year brought back the snow event, which I don't think I've ever happened to been in my cycle of finding. You know, sometimes I play this game kind of on and off over the years, and I've yet to actually drive through the snow, and it's just so much fun to be in the world with the snow. And it seems like such a small thing but it just changed things, and it was fun, and that's all that really matters. Picked up an indie game called The King is Watching. This one's kind of a freaky little game. The art style is kind of unique. It's a roguelite kingdom builder. It has a lot of just moving parts and unique art style. I enjoy it. I have a hard time recommending it right now. I don't think I've played enough of it to feel really confident of like, yeah, this is good, or yeah, this is like not that good. I'm still kind of a little bit on the fence with where I fall. There's definitely some elements that kind of catch you in that one more turn kind of a feeling. And there's some other elements that I'm like, I could just walk away right now. And I want to play a number of more runs. I haven't unlocked too many of the roguelite elements. I've mostly been spending my power on getting more power, not on getting new kings. And I have a suspicion that the alternate kings you can play as in The King is Watching is going to be pretty definitive for how I feel about it. Because right now, I like the premise and the interaction, but I'm just not sure if I'll come back to this one. A lot of the times I pick up a game and put it down forever, and I'm okay with that. But this one has just enough of like, maybe I'll play this one longer. I'm not sure yet. I'm really not sure yet. I'm a little bit on the fence here. And ultimately, if it was just a little catchier, I think I would have spent more time with it and not been so on the fence, but that's where I am right now. And I wish it hooked me just a little harder. I don't know what it could have done to do that. You know, maybe this isn't exactly my type of game. It's a real-time strategy game, which I don't generally like, but it definitely has some fun little base building, roguelike kind of dark fantasy elements that definitely pull me in a little closer, right? Another title I picked up this month, Monsters Are Coming. I've been playing this 99% of the time on my Steam Deck, and this one is an absolute joy when you first pick it up. I really fell in love with it fast. I think right now it's got some pretty serious balance issues, and it isn't quite there. I'm not sure if this is still considered early access or the full launch. I think it's at full launch point. I don't think this is an early access game, but the first few runs I had the absolute most fun in, without a shadow of a doubt. The more I played it, I didn't necessarily enjoy it less, but I didn't keep enjoying it more. It's another game that has some light roguelite elements where, you know, you'll protect this ever-moving city from these unrelenting hordes, and as you journey on, you have an opportunity to kind of get a permanent upgrade for your next run. It's definitely got some cool stuff. It definitely is just visually easy to kind of understand. The city's moving. Here come the monsters. You're a little dude. You kind of fight them off. And I like the simplicity of it. It really just made it easy to pick up and go on my Steam Deck. The biggest issue I had on the handheld was just the fact that save points are numerous. So now if I didn't have a way to manually save, you have to kind of get the checkpoints. And there are definitely times when you're working with a handheld, you want to be able to pick something up and put it away. But I am enjoying this one quite a bit, and I think I'll spend a good bit more time in it. I don't know if the end game is ever going to be more satisfying than those first handful of runs, as those first few runs are just the most fun as everything's new and exciting. And the further I go, I just get better at doing the same thing, and I don't feel like I'm getting enough variety. Also spent a little more time in Hades, again on the Steam Deck, loving that. And here's the thing with Hades, it's just a good game, but it just takes a lot from me. I'll finish a run and I'll just be wiped out. I'll be so absurdly tired mentally and physically. It just requires more focus and commitment than I necessarily want to have to give a thing to be able to be competitive at it. And let's be clear here, I'm not even competitive at it. I'm like, maybe average at best. Like I really struggle with this, and I just find my attention slipping, not because the game's not engaging. It exhausts me to try and like push through these runs because you just have to be on. That being said, because every room you walk into is a save point, I will finish a run over the course of a week or two. I'll just do a handful of rooms and just set it down. And that's probably not optimal. That's probably like shooting myself in the foot to being successful or getting better at this game. But like that's the pace I can play it at. And thankfully it allows me to do that. I really tried to finish Final Fantasy 16 this year. This is the December recap, and the year 2025 is over. I did not get through Final Fantasy 16. I did complete well past main quest number 30. I got through every side objective up to main quest number 30. And, that's, I think, technically past the halfway point. I think there's just under 50 main quests, not counting expansions or DLCs. So I'm not exactly sure how far in I am, but I feel like I've been plodding along in this one, and it's not been forever. It's not been forever, but it feels like such a big game, partially because I'm still unlocking new systems, merchants, interactions that did not exist 30 main quests ago, which is kind of crazy because you think you've like understood like the mechanics and the play loop. And then they're like, here's a new shop. Can you go set this up? I'm like, oh, okay. And you get a new shop. You're like, all right, what is this one? And it keeps going, and it might do that. And I don't know, the whole game. It's kind of crazy. Like this December as well had me spending just continuing to dip my toes into Mechabellum, Arc Raiders, and old school RuneScape. Nothing fancy going on with those three, just a couple of odds and ends moments where I picked it up and put it down. I think they have had their time in the sun, and I think Arc Raiders and old school RuneScape will probably go back into the crypt until, the moon rises again at some significantly. I definitely, just fell into old school RuneScape again with a sailing update, but I wisely held off on jumping a membership and jumping the ship, and just tried to see if I would be interested enough to like build a little bit of habit of playing. It just didn't happen. It just did not grab me like it did all those years ago, which is okay. I have nothing bad to say about it this time. And Arc Raiders, very similar situation. It's a good game, but I think it's more popular than it otherwise would be because I think there's a lot of mainstream top of charts players. They get a lot of attention. They're spending a lot of time in the game. Again, I'm not saying it is a bad game. If you're hearing that, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not my favorite game. That's the truth. It's not my favorite game. And there's a lot of players that I think grew up on Minecraft and Fortnite and are just itching for something a little different, or they've been getting their nuts busted in Tarkov for all these years, just waiting to get something waxed. And finally, Arc Raiders showed up and just scratched the right itch. I think there's a lot of Destiny 2 players that were just losing their mind. I think there's a lot of Call of Duty and Battlefield 6 players that didn't know what to do. I think Arc Raiders just happened to just be the right mix, have just enough of the secret sauce together that a lot of players that traditionally play a different game all of a sudden are like, I kind of like this. It reminds me a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's got just the right spice. I'll eat it every night. And that's not me. Maybe I'd find a lot more success if I was the Fortnite guy, but I'm not the Fortnite guy. Maybe I'd have a lot more success if I was the Call of Duty guy. I'm not the Call of Duty guy. And a lot of the people that were that person, who were the epitome of the chart line for that genre, that if you were looking for something on it, they had done it. They've fallen into Arc Raiders. I think it's kept the game a lot more popular and in the discussion than it would otherwise. For me, it's a live service, grindy game with some really hostile PvP that I understand there's going to be a lot of pushback on that sentence, but that's my experience. And I've got a number of live streams where that hasn't always been the case, but darn, I'm not looking for another job in my life to go grind loot so that some, rat bag at Extraction can pop me and have their farm, their clip. I don't need that. I just want to play games and have fun, not, get my face blasted in so that I can lose everything and walk away from 30 minutes with nothing. Still, Arc Raiders is lacking in enemy variety. I think there's a number of enemy types that are just too similar. I'm hoping that on a long enough timeline, they introduce some new stuff, and maybe I'll check it out again. And Mechabellum is still kind of a zen game. I have admitted, something simple to throw on. It's an easy game to pick up and go. It doesn't require too much energy for me to really play. And maybe I'm not playing at the highest level, and I'm okay with that. I'm just enjoying my time putting down my robots and watching them. This month as well had me take a few seconds on Armello. It's a little bit of an odd game at a glance because it really looks like a board game, because I think it was a board game. I'm Not 100% sure on that, but it plays very much like a board game. I'm pretty sure it was a board game, but I've only ever played it on PC, and I've enjoyed my time with Armello. I was more so just seeing like how it played on the Steam Deck, and the jury's still out. I haven't put enough time to decide, but I'm doing okay working just through the tutorial on that with the Steam Deck. So we'll see. We'll see where that one ends up. Just ran out of time to put in the time I wanted to come to a conclusion there. But it's a fun little one that maybe we'll talk about. This month, I also spent some time in Jurassic World Evan 3. I was really trying to finish a review for that for this December, but it's a bigger game than you might think at first glance. Where a couple of times I've finished out a park, I've gotten all the stars, it's done, check, 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 100%. And then it's like, hey, you just unlocked 2 new parks that you did not know existed before. I'm like, cool, cool. I'm enjoying this game. I thought I'd be done by now, so I could maybe think about writing a review, but I'm going to finish the game before I put a review together so that, I've done what can be done, so that I feel like I've experienced, really give a complete experience into the review. I'm getting close, but there's still more dinos, more parks, and darn, I'm afraid if I take too long, they'll like throw out some more DLC, and I'm like, oh gosh, I gotta get those bad boys in my park, see what they look like walking around doing their dino thing. Loving it so far.